Welcome to the Pool Nation podcast, where it's all pool talk. And we ain't talking about netting and jetting or splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. We talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. Now let's welcome your host, with over a decade of industry insider experience and still the reigning champion of Marco Polo, Edgar De Jesus, and his co-host, John JJ Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and Zach the Pool Boy Nicholas.
Welcome, everyone, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. I'm your host, Edgar De Jesus, and yes, I am the reigning champion of Marco Polo, along with John JJ Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and the famous Zach the Pool Boy Nicholas. Today, we're joined with, I almost said bye already right off the bat, with Rich Medina, OnCore Filtration, engineer, veteran. Wait till you guys hear about that kind of stuff, blowing up a lot of stuff. He is a 34-year pool industry pool pro who leads engineering now for OnCore, and they are built out in Manning, South Carolina.
That's correct, yes.
So anyways, before we do that, I want to welcome everyone to our live podcast, a podcast where it's all pool talk, and we ain't talking about netting and jetting and splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. And yes, we will talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. But before we get started, I want to thank our visionary partners for this podcast, the SPPA, Blu-ray Excel, Aquastar Pool Products, Natural Chemistry, Raypack, Heritage Pool Supply, Hayward Pool Products, OnCore Brands, Poolside Tech, Pool Brain, Knee Deck, and OnCore Filtration. Mr. JJ Flawless, good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Everybody. You know what? I'm actually, I'm doing good. I'm doing well. I'm better than I was. I think I'm on the mend. You know, for those of you that are watching the the Instagram lives the last couple times, I wasn't 100%, but starting to feel a lot better and ready to rock and roll. I am a little disappointed that when we first saw each other, right, that you didn't compliment me on my complexion today or anything like that, but I'm feeling better. You should have seen me like last week, though. I had like some crazy bags under my eyes, and I'm kind of looking, and I'm starting to believe that this camera might actually have a filter.
I was going to tell you, Rich looked at me when we came on and the mics were muted, and he's all like, he's got a filter on.
It must be, dude. It must be a filter. Or you know what it is? It could be the little, if you guys notice my little friend right here, right?
Yeah.
With the little Highland cow right there. And there's a little funny story about that, but
it is a filter.
It is a filter.
Yeah,
well, or maybe I just look better compared to that. I don't know. So it's just the options out there. But Mama, you know, he's been around forever. But every time I go live or we do the podcast, I always take him down. And one, I know I'm going already off the chain on this, but she tells me, "Why do you always hide are you embarrassed of my cow? Why don't you keep them on the shelf when you go live?" And I go, "Really?" So she kind of like tested my manhood there, right? And she knows how to get me. So now I go, "Oh, okay, really? No, I'm okay with having the cow up there." So now the cow. So I think what we need to do with everybody is they need to figure out what we're gonna name him, because everywhere I go live now, I'm gonna make sure I have him on there.
You have this cute little puppy cow.
Yeah. It's a little
for sure.
A little Highland cow. My wife is obsessed with them, and I think it's just a constant reminder. If it's of our goals, right? We talk about, you know, setting short-term, long-term goals, our 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plans, and one of the things she wants to have is a little farm, and she wants to have Highland cows. And so I think that's a gentle reminder to me every morning when I get up and I go to work, that's what I need to work for. I need to get Mama a farmhouse so that she can have her cows and her horses. But
you need to work on that, bro.
I do need to work on it.
When she's putting it inside your podcast screen, you got problems, bro.
Dude, I know, right? I know.
Right, Rich?
Yeah. Well, look, I showed you guys earlier, and let me show it again. Watch, look, I showed you guys earlier, but I'm going to show it This is also what I have to look at.
Rich, this makes total sense now.
Look at
So
that.
she originally put that one up on the wall so that he would see it every time that he was on the
There you go.
podcast.
Yeah.
And once he was the typical guy that didn't catch on to what she was saying, she literally went and got a stuffed animal one and stuck it right behind him on the wall. So it's like, you
it's for
can't-
sure, dude. I'm the guy who who goes to the kitchen, opens up the fridge, and looks and yells at everybody, "Where's the ketchup?" You know what I mean? And I'm looking, and she's like, "It's in the fridge." And I go, "No, it's not." And then she'll walk up, and then she'll go, and it's literally right there in front of my face. So
It's
yeah,
a guy
I am that
thing,
guy.
for sure.
I am that guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wear it proudly. But anywho, enough about me. Look, no, look, I'm excited, Rich. Really happy to have you on. Thank you for taking the time to come out to the studio. Sorry you had to spend the day alone with Edgar yesterday. Hopefully he was on his good behavior. Unfortunately,
Well-behaved,
yeah, he was well behaved. Okay,
Absolutely.
great. So unfortunately, I couldn't make it out there this time. I have like a moratorium on travel in July. I got my granddaughter that was born, and we are like,
Congratulations to you.
thank you so much. And it's our first grandchild, and it has been an amazing almost 5 weeks. No, 4 weeks. She's just turned 4 weeks old. So it's been quite the ride, and everything and anything that we dreamed of it was going to be of, it's that and even more. So we're getting it's just been real exciting for us. But I'm glad to have you down. I love that we're going to get into the nitty gritty of filtration here. I think for the most part, our industry, it's like one of those things that not many people truly understand or really appreciate the importance and the role it plays in our day-to-day life as pool pros. Because if you're out there grinding, scrubbing tubs and doing pools like I am, the importance of filtration, the role that it plays in customer satisfaction, how easy a pool is, chlorine usage, retaining customers, gaining new customers, making money, right? All that, it plays a huge role. So I'm stoked to kind of get into the little nitty gritty on what they are and what OnCore is bringing to the table as far as technology wise, and how you guys have turned a pretty old technology, a technology that's been around for a while, and how you've improved on it, and how we should take advantage of it as pros.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to jump in and say you're absolutely right. It does, and it is a important part of the pool experience, right? You don't want to be swimming in cloudy, murky water. It's not conducive to a good experience. So filtration is key, and looking forward to sharing that with both you and Edgar today.
Yeah,
and the audience as well.
Yeah, it's so important, right? I think as pool pros, one of the things that we tend to do is just kind of jump into water chemistry, right? And we don't pay attention to that filtration side of it. So we're going to do a deep dive into that. So,
Yep.
Rich, good morning.
Good morning. Good hot and humid morning.
Good hot and humid.
Indeed.
It was a little humid because we got some rain this morning, so it was kind of a little bit of a curveball.
A little bit, but it's not what I'm accustomed to anymore.
Anymore.
This is a reminder of what it's like out in the East Coast, and swimming through the humidity is something that I put aside a while back, 3 years ago. And
so you're not a fan?
I'm no longer a fan. I'm no longer a fan of it.
No, that's awesome. Well, hey, we appreciate you, kind of coming out yesterday and spending some time with us. And what did you think about the restaurant last night?
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah?
It's not every day that you see the Batmobile with machine guns out.
I
love that.
John, you missed it.
Whoa, what did I miss? Where'd you guys go?
Dude, believe it or not, we went to the dirt. So we came here last night. Hey, let me do a couple shout outs right here to the Heritage in San Antonio. Big shout out. They're giving big shout outs to you guys out here.
Cool.
Jeanette, big shout out to you.
Cheers, guys.
Jose is on here as well. Jose Perez, big shout out to you out there. And he's saying congrats, JJ. So John, we came to the podcast studio last night. We recorded some videos and stuff like that. And then we were going to go eat. And then I'm like, oh, perfect. Let's go to the Derby. And so we went to the Derby. And you know how you walk in? First of all, you walk in and there was a vet. What was that vet? Like a 64?
It was a Stingray, a 64, 16. I have no idea.
It was gorgeous, John.
Oh, I bet.
Amazing,
I love that place.
amazing.
And then they were really smart, John. They brought in you got to go see it. You walk it. You know how they have the doors open and you can walk into that little area? Dude, right? They were smart. Right there on the left side of that whole guardrail, they put this big, huge Batmobile, and the Batmobile has the machine guns popped up, and you could see like the little bullets on the side. You could see, and it's funny because everybody that was coming through, they're sitting them kind of in that area, right where the Batmobile is at, and everybody, and of course there's what, like
Ferraris,
Lamborghinis, all kind of stuff next to it. So
awesome.
Yeah, that's neat. So they had to move they moved a lot of the cars so they can make room for it.
Yeah, because
that place is always like jam packed, like half an inch of give between each supercar. And those of you that have never don't know what we're talking about, Derby is this pretty badass restaurant that's close to our studio that we love to go to. They have an amazing lunch there and even better ambiance, right?
Yep.
So it's like a car club, and inside there you walk in, there's a restaurant. It's a small restaurant, but it's really good quality food. It's like a scratch kitchen. And then to the right, it's just a big warehouse, and that warehouse is where car collectors come, and you're part of a club, and they bring these like $1 million cars.
Yeah.
And it's pretty awesome. Everything from like Vespas, like, Vespas, motorcycles, all the way to Lamborghinis and Bentleys.
They have all these old like 1944 Rolls Royce and all kinds of stuff.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So just trying to set the scene there for you guys.
The important thing, John, is that the food is good.
It is good. That brisket grilled cheese,
really
man. Oh my God, that is fire.
I had the Wagyu hot dog last night. Hot Wagyu sauce. It was good.
And the bacon is good too. Big thick cut bacon. That's delicious as well. So anyway, really good food.
Squirrel. We're over here.
Water sucks though. The water sucks. Don't drink the water. I'm sorry, Derby.
The beer was good. I had a good Kolsch beer there. Yeah, that was nice.
So, anyways, we had a great time. We spent some time together, and he was able to see the tea that we're going to spill. And obviously, we can't talk about spilling the tea, but what do you think about that tea, Rich?
And I was impressed.
Yeah,
I was impressed with the layout, with the plans, the companies that are.
Oh, you can't spill the tea.
All right.
I was like,
spill the tea.
I was looking for the mute button.
There I go.
But it's
amazing.
Good, right?
It's amazing, and the concept is simply really like outstanding. I love it.
Good. Well, we're excited. And by the way, Jose, if you're listening, you didn't get to see it, but Rich did.
I did. Yeah.
That's one thing that we were joking around yesterday. Like Jose came, and we were trying to, but we couldn't make it work. But anyways.
Yeah.
Hey guys, let's jump into this podcast. We had a little bit of technical difficulties as we were coming through. Instagram wasn't playing nice with us, so let's jump in. Rich, obviously you are with OnCore Filtration now, but you're a veteran into the industry. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Well, Rich Medina, born and raised in New York City. That swimming pool mecca up in the Northeast, and spent most of my childhood up there, and wound up living in Queens for the better part of my adulthood. Let's say, loved everything about New York City up until the point where it was just like, hey, this is insane. I've got to find a different place to live. But I have two wonderful kids that still live up there, and they're on their way to being successful, right? Uh-huh. So I'm really happy with the way things have worked out for them, and now we're my path in later in life.
Yeah. So you were born and raised in New York, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
And then you went to school out in New York, and
yeah. So basically. I was a product of the Catholic school system out there, and
hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Me too.
You too. All right.
That's what I'm talking about.
I went to Xavier High School, which is a Jesuit high school out there in Manhattan, and wound up studying engineering. And I went to a school called Polytechnic Institute of New York. And its initials obviously are Piney, P-I-N-Y, right?
Mhm.
While I was there, it transitioned into Polytechnic University of New York. So its initials are Puny. So I had to, I graduated, and eventually the school was swallowed up by NYU. So
Mhm.
I think it speaks well of the school.
Right?
Yeah, it was quite the journey to be trained as an engineer and learning all these different subjects, right? Math, calculus, differential equations, physics, thermodynamics, all required materials to become an engineer, to
Mhm.
become well, in my case, I was graduated as an aerospace engineer. So
Oh,
I know a little bit
wow.
about fluid dynamics.
Uh-huh. Damn. Check that out, John. Now we know who to call, right? So, so you finished school out in New York. What do you do once you're out of college? What do you?
So at that particular time, I jumped into the industry. Started working with a injection molder out in the lovely South Bronx. So I say that tongue in cheek. And it was fascinating for me to become a project engineer with this injection molding company. We basically, the injection molders are these huge presses that you inject molten plastic into a mold, and you get a part.
Mhm.
And the company had 36 injection molders and other departments that assembled things from those parts, or silk screened, pad printed logos onto the parts. And so it was a little microcosm of industry in my viewpoint at that point in time. And it was a big challenge to try to get the signals, in my particular case, to get the signals out of the injection molders and into what nowadays we call a dashboard. So middle management and upper management only knew what machines were running by virtue of a schedule that was printed out every morning. But they didn't know whether those pieces of equipment were actually becoming or were working, whether they were on schedule or producing as they were supposed to. And so all of that information wound up becoming part of what I did, was to pull that information from the equipment and get it up onto a screen.
Mhm.
And it was a very interesting experience, certainly for me, because it was I had to work with other people, mechanics and operators and middle management, to try to, number one, pull down the equipment for a period of time and wire it up.
Mhm.
And I had to do that 36 times and then make a presentation to the to upper management, middle management, as to what the system was telling them.
So those machines didn't have, right? They're analog machines. There's
Analog.
no, right?
Yeah.
We're starting to date ourselves here. So, and then, so you,
Don't include me.
so then,
Don't include me.
So then you had to create something to wire it to then send that information out to.
Right. So the Mattek system had a bunch of microprocessors that would ride with each machine, and that information would travel up to the I guess the interface where it was all presented.
Mm. And so what kind of information is it giving upper management? That machine's down, it's not producing enough?
Yeah, all of that, right? Hey, runtime, it'll tell you if it's running, assuming that you tell the system what's good and bad. It'll tell you, hey, you're running as intended, or you're running slower. So obviously you have to then investigate as to why it is that you're running slower. And there could be legitimate reasons. And sometimes
There's not.
There's not. And you need to tweak it.
Yeah. And so and that's interesting, obviously, because you go from analog not having anything to kind of creating, something and production and all that kind of
Correct.
stuff. So when you guys were working that, were you working with a third party that kind of had the software side, dashboard side of it?
Sure. Yeah. So the MatTech
Mhm.
system had that, had the ability to, take the signal and produce an output, right? Produce that interface and I call it a dashboard because that's what
Right.
it looks like
Mhm.
nowadays, right? So all of that had to be tweaked on my end to make sure that it was presenting the right data.
Yeah. And John and I will geek out on this because John and I talk
No.
about this all the time. So John, think about it from back then, absolutely nothing to integrating something. Let's talk about where we are today with AI that grabs, because obviously you created something that gives the information, but you still have to have a person look at that data and decipher the data and kind of keep control as to, hey, machine number 3 is only producing, 5 parts per hour and machine number 10 is producing 35. What's going on, right? Somebody still has to,
Absolutely. You still have to, roll up your sleeves and understand what the data is telling you.
yeah.
So
Look, dude, it's fascinating,
with
man.
that, right? John, you and I would geek out and
We do, but look, and Rich, I want to tell you this. I want to say that we're very sophisticated pool guys because we are very versed for the most part in injection molding. And I know when you started to describe it a little bit, most people, when you kind of talk about it, they don't truly appreciate or understand what really goes behind it. But we've had the pleasure,
yeah.
and a lot of our listeners and our viewers and our followers in our industry too has been introduced into the intricacies and the complexities of and what it takes in order to be able to do that type of stuff through Aquastar, taking them, doing the plant tours and learning what's really involved in that. And then, to hear about the kind of the other side of it, like the software version of it and stuff that I never really even thought about, it just makes it that much more complex and what really goes behind it. And, why things cost what they cost. And it's, you look at a little part and you think, hey, look, this little part, it can't be that much money. But in reality, the amount of money and education and work and that goes into being able to produce that part efficiently is just kind of like mind-boggling.
And to where it is today, John,
yeah, I know.
It's just amazing. So
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
No, I was just going to say too. So not only were you doing all this too, but you were also doing something else while you're doing this, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
John.
So let's talk about that too, because
that's the fun part.
Not only were you were you doing this type of work and helping develop this dashboard and the software, but you were also not full time, but pretty much working in the National Guard, correct?
Yeah. So I had a dual track path, right? I'm graduated, when I graduated school, I was in the ROTC program. And so I was commissioned as a second lieutenant, and my branch was engineering. So I wound up signing up with a combat engineer outfit in New York. And it was love at first sight because I got to play around with C4. So I got to blow up a lot of things, which is a lot of fun. I mean, obviously you want to be careful with it because you don't want to lose your fingers, but
lose your fingers.
But yeah, no, I trained with on C4, dynamite, and all sorts of explosives, makeshift explosives. But we also had other responsibilities like building bridges, building homes, or roads, and what have you. So it's a complete panoply.
And I'm assuming you still had to do all the regular stuff. It's not just kind of coming in and right. I'm
of
assuming
course,
you had to go through the whole training and
100% had to go through all the PT type training and drilling ceremonies and all of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of that is part and parcel of being in the Army. So, yeah, again, dual track, and thankfully, Gary Plastics allowed me to follow my career there with the New York Army National Guard, and yeah, it was something that I did for I'd say 3 years. I had that the dual path during that period
crazy.
of time. Yeah.
Imagine in the morning, the daytime, I'm building and creating stuff, and by night, I'm
blowing it up.
Blowing it up, right?
A whole lot more fun blowing things up, for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Ain't that the dream, John?
Yeah, exactly. Right? You were like a superhero or a villain and superhero. You're in dual.
Can you imagine?
That's awesome.
You get a little cranky in the morning, and you're like, "Oh yeah, a little one to my afternoon." So, what did you ever get to kind of blow up any cool stuff?
Oh, cool stuff.
Or was it really more working on, the dynamite versus the C4 versus the...
Yeah, so a lot of it is creating the daisy chain to tie off explosives and place them to wherever you want to put the charge on. So there's some training to make sure that you do it right? You're using det cord versus versus time fuse, right? There are differences. You got to be very aware of which one you're using before you go and set the charge off. So lots of training. Typically, the stuff that I blew up was nothing in particular, right? Just maybe a blog or just place it by some sort of target, but never a bridge or anything along those lines. Unfortunately, I never got to do that.
That's a bummer. Let's talk to them and see if they'll let us kind of go back there and blow up a bridge, John. So you're in the military. Obviously, you're blowing up stuff, but you are also, we're talking that you guys had to do other stuff like build
for sure
and stuff like
that.
And
absolutely.
Anything cool that you
one of the great experiences that I had was that my unit was assigned to go down to Guatemala and build a bridge. So it was a 40-foot timber trestle bridge. So if you're ever traveling down the Pan American Highway,
I'll be there next week.
If you're ever traveling down the Pan American Highway through Guatemala, one of those bridges is mine. So
that is pretty cool, though. You know what I mean?
Cool.
That is pretty cool, though, if you think about it.
And how long did it take you guys to build it?
It took us approximately 10 days to build that bridge.
And how long ago was that?
Oh, boy. That's a great question. I don't know. 30 years ago, 25, 30 years ago.
Okay, so that's a testament to your abilities, right? It's still standing, right?
I'm hoping that it is.
Right? I'm hoping. Imagine.
The good news is that if you do go over the edge, the drop is not very deep. So it's not very far. So it was only maybe 20 feet in the air.
That's not bad, but still, it's a feat. I mean, to build a bridge in freaking 10 days.
Yeah,
right.
No, kudos to the team that was organizing that effort. They had all the timber and all the supplies ready to go. So it was just pick and place, basically.
Yeah. So you're in the military. You're doing this dual for 3 years. How long were you with that first company?
I was there for about 3.5 years, I would say. Yeah, just right off of the MatTech system, I was introduced into other production areas where I was put in charge of a lot of the ancillary production assemblies. So that was interesting, but I think that it was something that I needed to move on from at that period of time, and I still had my obligation with the Army at that period of time. So I decided to continue to do my training in the Army, which took me to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Stayed there for about 17 weeks on a training assignment. Then I came back to New York after that assignment and started working in what is the pool and spa industry.
So that's when he got sucked in.
That's
John.
when it happened.
And-
Yeah, that's when it happened. So, yeah, the gentleman or the company that was looking to fill the role needed somebody with injection molding experience. Obviously, the Army background certainly helped, and I started working with them back in, I would say, 1993, so thereabouts. And that particular company manufactured pool accessories. So they manufactured ladders, pumps, telescoping poles, sand filters, liners, all sorts of different items that you would find in an above ground pool. And again, it was very fascinating to see how all these items are needed and are warehoused for a period of time before early buy. And once early buy comes, everything goes out the door. And what was a full warehouse of all these different products, come late May, early June, the warehouse was practically empty. So it was just fascinating to me to see the buildup of all those materials, and then to see it just all go away. And I, it was just very eye-opening to see how the business cycle works.
Yeah. And then, what were you, is that the one you were GM at?
That's correct. That's correct. I started as a production engineer for Columbia Pool Accessories, and yeah, it was one, just stepped into higher and higher roles as time went by. My first, I think by year 2, I was I was going to the trade shows, and that was another eye-opening moment. It was incredible, and the reason I say that is Columbia Pool Accessories was a tiny company. But it was my world. So I didn't know any better until I really, when I went to that first trade show, it was just, I was blown away. I was blown away by all the big stands, all the big players that were out there, and how, I then realized my role is, I'm just trying to push what we do, want to push it forward. And I think everybody else in the industry is doing the same, trying to push it forward. And so, yeah, I fell in love with the industry at that point in time. And I'm like, yeah, hey, a lot of good people, a lot of friendly people. And this is what I want. This is what I want to do. And this is where I want to be.
So where do you transition from there after that?
Yeah, so I was with Columbia Pool Accessories for just about 14 years. And during that time, I started saying, well, it's time to move on. This is something that I need to do just to expand myself and try to grow. And I had a meeting, I believe it was in Phoenix, or maybe the old Los Angeles Convention Center, where I met a gentleman by the name of Sam Miller. And for those who may know Sam Miller, may not know Sam Miller, he was the owner of Pleatco. And this was back in 2006, I think. And Sam came up to me, and Sam befriended me right from the very beginning of my exposure to the pool and spa trade shows. So Sam came up to me, and he was accompanied by a man named Howard Smith, the future owner of Pleatco, and they just sat down with me and said, "Hey, how would you consider an opportunity working at Pleatco?" I'm like, well, I am thinking, why not? Let's talk a little bit more. And sure enough, yeah, March of 2007, I started working with Pleatco as the senior VP of engineering. So, well, it started as a VP of engineering and eventually became SVP.
Yeah.
SVP. So I was the chief engineer at Pleatco for 14 years, and That was a ride.
Uh-huh.
Not only were we buttoning down the production of cartridges, but at the same time, we greenfielded an operation in Mexicali, Mexico, and that was around 2009-ish. And that was, again, another like eye-opening experience of greenfielding almost a copy exact operation out in Mexicali, Mexico.
Mm-hmm. And so from there, how do you end up over on OnCore?
So again, I was there for just about 14 years with Plico, and there was an investment by a private equity firm that took majority share of Plico. Oh boy!
Surprise!
Surprise!
Here's the thing: I was watching John.
I'm so sick and tired of this shit, dude.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying the quiet part out loud.
Yes.
We know it. And look, it takes a lot. You know what? I'm just going to bite my tongue. Never mind. I'm sorry.
I'll say it. I'll say it.
Private equity started to the private equity company that had the majority share of Plico wound up buying other companies, and they consolidated their purchases in Louisville, Kentucky. And I apologize to the folks in Louisville. I say Louisville. They say Louisville.
Louisville.
So, right,
yeah.
Right. But yeah, that's the way I say it. Sorry. So they consolidated in Louisville. I did not want to make that transition. So as Plico was phased out of New York, I had an opportunity to venture out on my own, and I started working as an independent contractor. And in that time, I worked with Jose and others, and it was it was great because Jose had the vision of creating a cartridge company, and he's a really genuine person, and as you get to know him, you get to admire his work ethic, his vision, and his desire to do good. And I got to say, it's certainly something that that I aspire to as well, right? To have that drive to do something and to make something, to produce and to produce at a high level. And so I think our stars were aligned, and we started working more and more together, and here I am. I'm working with the team, and I love it. I love the team down in Manning, South Carolina, or South Kakalaka, as they like to say. And great. It's a great group of people. They're very genuine, very warm, and they accepted me right away. And I just enjoy the experience.
And it's a big change, right? It's a big change, John, going from the, you're over at the PE and how that whole world works, and then being able to come over and obviously we've met Jose and he's a great guy, but being able to kind of come to the complete opposite of what that is, right? It's the complete opposite of, I have a vision, I know what we want to do, we're going to do it together, we're going to do it as a team, we're going to protect the customer. It's just like a complete,
absolutely.
opposite.
Yeah, it's so much better. And sorry to cut you off, John, but much better to work with like an owner founder, that's driven that way. And private equity is sad.
He's trying to be good, John.
No, he is. He's doing so well. He's doing so well, especially looking at when I hear him describing Jose, right? We know Jose, right? And we've had the pleasure to meet him, just like he said. And I know he's watching, or I know he's listening, right? And
by the way, John, he sent the little message here that he's coming on the 14th.
Oh, that's awesome. I can't wait to look. Perfect. But what I just want to say, kudos to you, Rich, because it's hard describing your boss, right? You know what I mean? And then talking about him and saying them and stuff like that. And then the words that you chose about that he's determined and he has a lot of drive. That is like the understatement of the century, man. That man is a workaholic and he does work, right?
Absolutely.
And he is one of the only people in this world that I've had a conversation with that when we spoke about like work ethic and drive and stuff like that, he made me question my drive. And I'm a maniac, bro. Like I literally work. It's like everybody tells me, and my wife, my family, and everything around it, like it's like nothing but work, 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 work. But when I listen to him and some of the questions that he asked me certain questions, and I won't really ask it. I won't really say it here, but he asked me a couple questions that made me really rethink and go, man, I can do more, or I should be doing more. This guy's running circles around me, or the way he is and how much he works and his drive to truly just like change, this category in this industry, and the effort he puts into it, is just I don't know. It's
And
just so much
John,
fascinating. It's hard to put words. You know what I'm talking about, right?
yeah.
Edgar?
So here's the funny thing, and so it was like you and I never talked about it. So he came out, we had a
Yeah,
great time and all that kind of stuff, and
dude,
you're talking about it now, and that's exactly how I felt. And
he made me
I
feel
I
like,
kid you,
dude, I need to step up my game,
I kid you
bro.
not. We were at the Aussie grind, and we're
Yeah,
standing outside, and I have my cappuccino in my hand, and I'm just thinking, I need to do more, right? Like I need
for
to.
real.
It's funny that you say that. That's hilarious.
I think I'll give a little piece, but I think it was something like he told me something like this, and I'm paraphrasing. I'm not exacting, but he's all. So, John, when is enough work? And I was like, how do you know if you're not, or how much work is enough work? You know what I mean? And where do you draw the line when it comes down to work and how much work you do? Because this is what I do. And he was describing it, and I'm like, holy crap, man. You know what I mean? I thought I was a maniac for work. And he literally made me like rethink and say, wow, okay.
I'll give you mine,
And
John.
yeah,
I'll give you mine. We were there, and he came over to me, and he goes, Edgar, what are your hobbies? What do you do other than working?
he did. That was the other
Right?
thing that he took. Yes.
And I was sitting there, and I'm like, I don't have one. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have hobbies. I don't like work it. And he's like,
Me
and
too.
he's like, that's how I am. He goes, work is my hobby, and it's like 24/7. And it made me feel good.
Yeah.
Because I get a lot of heat from my family all the time. And they're like, yeah, Pool Nation, Pool Nation, Pool Nation, you know what I mean? So, but it actually felt good. But sorry, John.
Anyways, but sorry to go off on a little tangent
Yep.
there, but we just give a little bit about Jose, and the purpose behind it is, look, so everybody listening, we're going to get into it, especially once we're going to be going on a break shortly, but once we get into the nitty gritty of filtration and stuff like that, it's good to know that the person behind it and the people behind it, right, are led and driven by this type of hunger to be better and to do better constantly. And good enough isn't good enough, right? And we look at a filter and a cartridge and we think, well, what's the difference, right?
What's sexy about
They're
it?
all
Yeah.
the same. Yeah, exactly. But there are differences. And you can make something better, right? Even though it's not as visible maybe, or you don't necessarily see it. I mean, but we're going to get into the nitty gritty of what OnCore is doing and how they're changing the game in more than one way when it comes down to filtration. And it would not happen if you don't have the type of people, working there with that same type of drive. So that's the reason why we're kind of getting to the Jose thing here, and it all kind of makes sense. It does.
Full
It makes
circle.
sense. Oh, completely.
circle.
For sure.
So, hey guys, let's do this, John. And thanks for the reminder. Let's take a word from our sponsors. When we come back, let's jump into our conversation about filtration. I know there's a lot of things that we want to talk about. We want to, share with the pool pros. I think one of the things that I really want to talk about is, obviously we talk about cartridges. We talk about as pool pros fighting against I'll call it the $3 Amazon filter type thing, but there is a difference in filtration, and we want to educate them on what
Not
things
just
to look
color?
for.
Not just color. What do we got? Blue, we got purple, we got white, we got next is yellow, pink.
So we'll talk about all that right after these words from our sponsors.
Pool pros have specific needs when it comes to general liability insurance. The SPPA program has you covered. With 3 tailored and customizable general liability options, SPPA makes it easy for pool pros to feel secure. Find out more and get covered at thesppa.com. Now available, Pool Invoice. Pool Invoice is a pool billing software created specifically for the pool service and repair industry. It's developed for our industry and only our industry. Pool Invoice is built with recurring billing in mind. You can print, email, text invoices, or even send via WhatsApp. You can add reoccurring or yearly charges, accept credits, and set up autopay. You can even see when customers have seen the invoice. It even has a customer portal where they can log in and see, print, and pay invoices. It has all your customers' information on one page, so you don't need to search through hundreds of invoices looking for the one you need. Just go to the customer profile and it's all at your fingertips. Created specifically for the pool industry, Pool Invoice. Now available at poolinvoice.com. Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day.
Aquastar's new pipeline cartridge filters, available in 2 sizes, deliver top-notch hydraulic efficiency along with best-in-class filtration performance, approaching that of DE filters. Uniquely designed, open pleat spacing means 100% of the media square footage is usable. And these claims are backed by NSF test results. Designed with the pro's time and comfort in mind, the patented double-locking system improves safety and ease of access, making filter cleaners faster than ever before. Available now. Ask your supplier for pipeline filters today.
Natural Chemistry, a leader in specialty water care solutions for over 30 years, is proud to provide products that make pool service easier than ever before. Its unique enzyme formulations in Pro Series Pro Blend improve efficiency of your pool program while reducing frequency of filter cleaning and scum lines. Natural Chemistry is also well known for its wide variety of phosphate removal solutions that include a non-clouding formula in Phos-Free and extremely high-range removal with Pro Series Phos Remove or Phos Free Max. Save time, save money, save work with Pro Series products. Stop sacrificing durability or efficiency with the help of Raypak's new Avia HD models that utilize NITEC, their exclusive industry-first technology. NITEC heat exchanger technology is Raypak's latest solution to superior strength and maximum efficiency when it comes to residential pool heating. With 900% more nickel compared to copper nickel in critical surfaces, NITEC creates an ideal surface to protect against scale formation and erosion without compromising on Avia's 84% thermal efficiency. Learn more at raypak.com/NITEC. The next evolution in lighting is here. Universal Color Logic 2.0 from Hayward. The latest in pool and spa lighting was designed with you in mind, making installation a breeze. Upgrades include a detachable cord and first-of-a-kind adjustable lower catch to overcome variations in plaster thickness. As always, Universal Color Logic lights retrofit into virtually any in-ground pool or spa while delivering industry-leading, vibrant color. Visit Hayward.com to discover more.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. We continue our conversation with Rich Medina from OnCore. And I do want to come back and apologize to some of our listeners that are on here. I was just showing Rich that, we started talking and completely spaced the chat over here. So I do want to give a shout out to Jose. We got your message. We talked about it, that you're coming out on the 14th. We're really excited about it. I will send you a link right after we kind of get off the podcast and some information. Jeanette was saying that today was better than Wednesday on the heat. And yes, I'm going to agree with you, Jeanette. It was sunny. It was hot. It was above 100. It was humid. It was not that good. Our boy out there, Todd from Ripple Effect Pool Service. Of course, we're not going to complain to you with you and your weather at about 120,000 degrees out there. Michelle Thompson, big shout out to you. Appreciate you jumping on. Maria, good morning. Mr. Todd Pieri, let's go. Big shout out to you as well. And then Arimanda, big shout out to you out there. So thanks for jumping on, guys, and listening. So, obviously we've talked about, your background. Want to talk a little bit about, there's Brian. Brian Croissant is saying,
Happy birthday, Brian.
Happy birthday, Brian. And then hot as what here in Austin. He's in Austin, so it's really hot down there. And then Maria from Ensenada is saying that Mexicali is my town city.
Okay.
There. So big shout out. Big shout out to Maria. So, and hey, John, we cannot not address big shout out to Lucero. Hope that she's doing okay. We are going to talk about that next week on the Instagram Live. I think John called me really passionate after we saw that. Unfortunately, what happened to Lucero, she was in a backyard and she got chased by a couple pit bulls and got bit on the hand really bad. So we are going to do a deep dive into safety. John's had some of those experiences that we've never shared, and so we're definitely going to talk about that. But anyways, talking about it, let's kind of jump in and talk a little bit, about the filtration side over here, and really, why is that filtration so important? Let's start with that.
Well, the reason filtration is important is because it is actually the removal of suspended solids in your pool water. And so the suspended solids it's going to hamper the overall experience of the homeowner, of the people enjoying the pool. Obviously, if you have, again, cloudy water, murky water, it's not very conducive to a very pleasant experience. So the filtration on a pool is meant to remove all that particulate matter out of the pool, and so that you have crystal clear water is basically what you're striving for. So the only way to do that with today's equipment is by way of mechanical filtration. So the removal happens to be done either by sand, diatomaceous earth, or by cartridge. And again, the reason why you want to get rid of the particulate that's in the water is because, number one, you want a pleasant swimming experience. Number two, it also helps in providing the sanitation that you broadcast into your pool water. It makes it more effective, right? You're not fighting the pollen that falls in from the sky. So it's by removing all this particulate, you're really making or economizing the sanitation program that you have for your pool as well.
The chemistry side of it.
Sure. Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
So that's why that is so, and so when we talk about filtration, and obviously we're talking about, cartridges and stuff like that, how specifically does it work? So you obviously have water, and you said suspended, which is a great way to kind of understand dissolve versus suspended, right? So when we're filtering, we're trying to get all those suspended. And it's going through whatever type of filtration that they have. But, how does it work as it's going from that, and a little bit more from the engineering side, right? Like, how does that process, like the water goes through it, and to me, I'm thinking, John, it just goes through these grids and that's it, right? But how does it technically work?
Sure. So basically what's happening is that you're going through the water, dirty water is coming into your pool, into your tank, and it is being separated by way of some sort of mechanical barrier. That could be either sand, it could be diatomaceous earth, or it can be a cartridge. And I'll focus on the cartridge in my example here. So basically, water is going into going from the outside, passing through our media, through a filtration media. And basically what's happening is the particulate is starting to build up on the surface of that media. So if you think of what is it, Jenga, that video game where you've got things falling. Tetris.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry.
Tetris.
Tetris. Uh-huh.
Sorry. So Tetris, if you think of Tetris, that's what's happening. You've got particles of all different sizes, shapes that are starting to hit the media, and they begin to build on it. And initially, the openings and the pores of the media have a certain size. In the case of a good filtration media, you're talking about 20 microns, and we'll get into microns. What is a micron a little bit later, but you have a 20 micron opening, and if you have debris that is coming across the filter media that is larger than 20 micron, it gets caught on the surface, and over time you start to build up what we would call in filtration a filter cake. And so this is not a cake that you eat. But this builds up over time, and it can amount to several pounds of debris over the course of a service life of the filter. So, or the in between cleanings, right? So you can, and I've seen times that we've been able to hit 10 pounds of debris caught on a cartridge filter. So it's quite a bit of it's a lot of debris that gets accumulated on the filter.
And even I mean, I kind of look at it's like a spider web, right? Little particles that are going through, and eventually you're going to run and you're going to hit into something. Even if you start off at like 20, as things get a little bit dirtier, that hole or that opening or that highway becomes a little bit smaller, and you're able to trap even smaller and smaller particles, right, as it keeps going. And I mean, I've heard this in other people, and it seems like people don't really realize that a cartridge that is a little bit impacted or has a little bit of dirt actually starts to filter a little bit more and more and more and more and more, right? And then you can get better and clearer water. It's like a highway. I've always, like, when I talk to customers, I go, look, you got this highway, you got all these windy roads, and everything's kind of going through it. Some will get through, but eventually it's going to hit a wall, or it's going to hit something, it's going to get stuck, and eventually you'll start building up and being able to filter more and more. And the difference in material is how many of those little highways and spider webs you have, so that more and more debris can get trapped and locked into it, so that you can filter that water out. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. We call that the tortuous path, right?
There you go.
Of the
Okay,
water
I like
traveling,
that.
of the water traveling through the media. And if you start with, again, a good filtration media, if you start around 20 micron, it doesn't take too long to build up that filter cake. If you have a media that's more open, it'll filter, but it's going to take a longer period of time to achieve that filter cake and achieve that efficiency that comes with use, right? So you're absolutely right. It is a torturous path, and eventually that particle will stack up on something, whether it's a pore or a layer within that filter cake.
Mm-hmm. So for the, for cartridge, so you have obviously DE. DE is a certain type of material, because then you put the DE over it. The DE is really kind of that part that's kind of helping you filter, through and stuff like that. When it comes to a cartridge filter, is it the same material as the regular grids for DE, or is it a different material?
It's a completely different material made with a completely different process. So for diatomaceous earth, usually it's a woven material, polypropylene type material. And so it's made on a loom, and that's how that material is made. It's stitched together, basically, in essence. With a cartridge, typically that is made with what we would call a non-woven. And non-woven is as the name implies, it's not made on a loom. It's not stitched together. In fact, it's made with a very specific equipment that can be as tall as, in certain cases, in some of the more modern examples, it's maybe a 3-story structure that basically takes a polyester chip. That's our raw material, polyester. That is then melted and drawn out into fine filaments. And we're talking about millions of filaments that are being laid out on what we would call a web. Now, the web is roughly, so this is the width of the machine. It's roughly, could be as wide as about 144 inches, like 12 feet, thereabouts. And the tower that produces the filament and the webs then basically go through this process of being spun out onto the width of the machine, onto a belt that sits underneath the machine. The web itself is coming down so quickly that it almost looks like it's raining polyester, and that is being pulled away by this belt. The belt is traveling roughly 8 feet per second, so it's moving at a very rapid rate, and it's going downstream. Eventually it goes to, it meets up with these 2 huge steel rollers, which we call calendars. And the calendars then compress the web and create a bond, or flatten the material out to a certain height, certain thickness, and that's how you produce this media that we use in cartridge filtration.
Gotcha. So it's obviously completely different than
very different from a sewing operation or from a loom.
From a loom.
Yeah.
And that is that the one that's called point bond?
So the process is called spun bond. It's called spun bond polyester. Spun bond polyester comes in 2 flavors. I'll put it that way. On the one hand, you have a flat bond, and a flat bond, again, at the end of the process, it's rolled onto very smooth calendars, so there's no surface features on it. But in essence, the reason a flat bond exists is because inside of that low melt, inside of there are 2 different ingredients that comprise a flat bond material. You've got a polyester that is what we would call a homopolymer polyester, and then there is a low melt. There's another ingredient called a low melt copolymer polyester, and the low melt copolymer polyester, we just call it the low melt portion of it, rides inside of the web of the rest of the material. Now, why is this important? That low melt copolymer, when it hits the calendars, the big steel rolls, it melts. And by melting, it bonds everywhere it touches the rest of the web. And that's how you have a rigid structure, right? It's no longer a vast amount of these filaments that are everywhere. It's held together, and it's now like it's like a cloth at this point in time. On the other hand, point bonded doesn't use any low melt copolymer. It's just a homopolymer. And the way you bring these together is that, again, it runs down this belt, and at the end of the belt are 2 rollers. In the case of the homopolymer, in the case of the point bond, one of the rollers has a dimpled pattern. And that dimpled pattern, with heat and pressure, press down on the material as it goes through the rollers. So what is occurring there is those dimples are holding the media. They're sealing the media in that particular spot. And that's what gives it its strength and the cloth-like appearance. So you get two cloths, and they'll look different. And one, in my opinion, is a better filtration product.
So I'm assuming, I mean, from what you're describing, and look, I'm just trying to put it in layman's term for me, because you're throwing around some okay, I'm trying to get it. I'm trying to understand it. So
Engineer
look, I'm
talk.
going to try to break it down here. All right. I'm going to try to break it down here. So from how you're describing it, I'm assuming, based on your description, that point bonding would be superior to flat bond, correct?
In my opinion, yes.
Yeah. Okay. And I mean, I'm looking at it, I think of it like this. I'm thinking of it like, and we can look at it two different ways, but correct me if I'm wrong here, but I look at it like the flat bonding, you're using a glue to stick everything together, and point bonding, you're welding the material together. So I would assume, if I were to choose between the two, right, you want something welded, or two pieces becoming one, or them becoming whole, or one complete piece, opposed to a glue or something that is holding, that can probably the structural integrity probably isn't as good, or won't last as long, or hold up as long, if you're gluing something opposed to welding. Am I correct?
You're spot on that on the flat bond, it's more like a gluing process.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
100%.
I mean, it makes sense to me. So, because it's not two becoming one, you're just tying two together, or opposed to when you're when you're pressing it, or you're creating those dimples, you're literally um ultra welding, or whatever in the hell it's called, but it's becoming one piece. So I would imagine that would be a much stronger connection, or with better integrity.
Right. Absolutely. So all of the fibers are sealed at that one point.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
so, and you've got, I would say it's about 16% of the material is bonded in that fashion. And it's going to hold all the other, all the filaments.
Sure.
All the filaments are welded in this fashion. And so what you have is basically the points where the filaments are not bonded, those filaments are free to move. And so that means that as you load that material,
Exactly.
that the pores have the ability to accommodate the load that it's subjected to. And guess
Sure.
what? Because these filaments are free to move that are not bonded, when you go to clean it, the debris releases a little bit better. So
Makes sense.
So that, in my opinion, that's one of the features of why a point bonded material is a superior product to a flat bond.
And I got to imagine too that in those those small, where you said that 16% of the materials at, that it's a much smaller micron that can be filtered in that area as well too. So it's able to catch smaller particulars in that area, making the filter. It's like, hey, usually when a filter, the lower the microns, the less water can pass through, the more pressure that's created, or the more resistance that's created in the water flow, right?
Exactly.
But you have now, it's like the best of both worlds, right? Now you're able to not only keep a lower micron, be able to catch smaller particulars, but you also have that web that gets to flex and move. So you can still catch the 20 or the 10 or whatever those microns, but it has the ability to allow whatever it's rated, the water to go through it until, and then at the same point, allows it to be cleaned off a lot easier, like you were saying. So I think it's a win-win. And I've seen the difference between the two, because I've used filter cartridges that are flat bonded and point bonded, and there's definitely a difference, especially when it comes down to cleaning the material, right? And how long your intervals are in between, and how fast that pressure rises between cleanings. It seems to, in certain cartridges, you just don't necessarily get that longevity like you do in these point bonded cartridges, or at least in my experience.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And there's another key factor in in the construction of the material, and that is the size of the filament, right? I didn't touch on that, but I can definitely discuss that a little bit. So if the fibers are small for any given basis weight, and what's a basis weight? Well, basis weight is how much does a square meter or square yard or square foot of media weigh? And for a given basis weight, so in our industry, we're looking for, on the pool side, we're looking for 4 ounces per square yard or 135 GSM, grams per square meter. If you have finer denier product, finer filaments, you're going to need more filaments to get to that basis weight. Well, what does that mean? That means that because you have more fibers, you have more crossover points. And because you have more crossover points, you have smaller pores. And what do smaller pores mean? Better filtration, more efficient filtration right from the start. So it's a combination of the point pattern, but also the size of the fibers that are important to create a really good filtration medium.
Gotcha. I do have another question. We're talking about, the filters, we're talking about the media. I've seen some of the core. So you have the inside of that cartridge filter. Some of them have holes, right? And you look at it and they're just kind of like all the way. Other ones have, the big slots in them and stuff like that. So if I look at those two, what are your thoughts on which one is better on those? And what's the whole idea of all the holes in the...
Right. So the cores are there to support the media so it doesn't collapse down and crush the media while it's in operation. The core in and of itself is supposed to also allow the water to pass through. And so what's important here is to have as high an open area in your core to allow the efficient use of all of the filtration media that you have. So the more open area you have, the less restriction you have. And so what you're looking for is as open a core as possible. There are 2 types of cores that are out there. There's an injection molded core, and in an injection molded core, the openings are dialed in. They're part of the mold. And when the part comes out, when the core comes out, hey, you're going to have a consistent set of openings for every single time. And it's going to be exact for every single cartridge that you have. And on the other hand, then you have a PVC core. Man, a PVC core is is basically a PVC pipe that's been extruded out, and usually they're 20 feet in length. And then certain manufacturers, what they do is they cut that down to size and drill holes in it. Well, that open area is a lot lower than what you would see in an injection molded core. And the PVC core then goes through the process of being drilled out, and each one is individually drilled out. Potentially could be used on a gang punch and to knock out more holes in a stroke of a punch press. But unfortunately, you're not getting the same amount of open area as you would in an injection molded core. Again, I'm sorry, just to go back to the injection molded core, it's typically made out of ABS. So ABS is a very strong, resilient, engineered plastic material. PVC has been around a while. It's been around a long time. Again, it's used in it's extruded out, and obviously, there are all sorts of applications for a PVC core. The fact that you don't have the open area of an injection molded core puts you at a disadvantage, I would say, when you use a PVC core. And the reason is that the media is not allowed to. You're not getting the maximum use of the media as you're passing water through the PVC core openings. You're being channelized into very specific dots of passing the water through the core, right? So one of the easiest things that you could do is take a cartridge, take off the media, do that for an injection molded core cartridge, and do that for a PVC cord cartridge. And what you do is you open up the pleat pack, and you could see the filter loading. You hold it up to the light, and on an injection molded core, you don't see that much of a pattern. You don't see the core showing up. However, if you were to do that with the media that's coming from a punch PVC core, you hold that up to the light and you see dots.
Polka dots.
Yeah,
Polka dots.
Yeah, because it's the water's kind of having to push around in order to go through.
No, I mean, water travels in the path of least resistance, right? So if it's being sucked from this area and this area, but nothing in between, all the media, all the dirt water is gonna try to rush through that portion of it, because it's the easiest way to get to the path it's trying to go to.
Correct.
That makes complete sense. And I never even thought about it like that. And I'm thinking, okay, cores, I get it. And I always looked at it like, strength was important. And, we showed some examples of your guys' filters and Jose standing on top of them. And to us, it's important, because once you lose the structural integrity of a filter and it starts to collapse in on itself, it becomes practically useless, right? I mean, it still does some filtration, but its abilities have been severely damaged, right? It can't do that well. But understanding these holes in the path of water, that I never even thought about that, and it makes a lot of sense. Where you're literally turning a whatever it may be, whether it's an 80 square foot cartridge, but you might only be using 30 square feet out of it or 40 square feet out of it, because water is not going through that other portion of it. So that's interesting.
By the way, John, I want to take a picture over here, because here's what happens with John. So John has this freaking ability to process shit, right? Where I got to listen to it like 3 times for some of this stuff to kind of click. And then I'm watching you over here, John, and I see your brain going 100 miles an hour. Like, he's talking. I swear, I'm going to take a picture of the screen and I can see you, and you're like listening intently, and I can just see your brain just like grabbing it and just processing it like right off the bat. So.
Dude, no, it's really cool.
It's
and look, again,
like,
we're talking about filters
really
here.
Yeah,
look,
this is interesting to me.
People might think we're crazy, right? And everyone who's listening to this going like, what is this dude?
We are pool geeks. Right? We are pool geeks.
But I think it's just fascinating, right?
It is.
It is the difference.
I'm thinking, John, like, he's talking about how this is. Do you guys do the material at your place, like these woven machines, or is that done somewhere else and brought?
Yeah, that's done somewhere else. Yeah.
I'm like, John, how cool would it be to see all that, all the steam coming down like the rain and putting on the machines? Like, that'd be freaking cool.
It's amazing. Those machines are multi-million-dollar pieces of equipment, and they are running flat out.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, that's cool stuff. All right, so we know the point bonding, right? We now talk a little bit about the core. Shoot, what else can we talk about, John?
We got the caps that we should be talking about, and then I think like the bands and stuff, and then I think how we should go about cleaning.
Yes. That was going to be
stuff like that too.
Let's talk really quick about.
I can't believe it's flying through the time.
Can we talk about the bands really quick? Because
sure,
I think
absolutely.
I think there's a big misconception, John, about the bands, and people kind of going, "Oh, take the bands off," or "Oh, it doesn't matter if they're on."
Well, I got my opinion too. I want to jump in on this, but anyways, go.
Sure, I'd love to talk about the bands, and so if you think about the dynamics of the water passing through the cartridge and back out into the pool, the banding is supposed to keep the pleats from fluttering or from moving while in action, and so it's supposed to keep the array of pleats in its position. And why is that? The reason you want to keep your pleats in there as evenly distributed as possible is to maximize the use of the square footage in the media. The bands allow you to keep a certain amount of structural stability so that the pleats do not collapse on themselves. When you don't have a band, that's when pleats want to clump, especially under pressure. They want to collapse on themselves. And then your 100 square foot cartridge is no longer 100 square feet. It's, something less than optimal. And so it's important to have, number one, all your pool cartridges to have bands spaced every so often. In our case, we space them every 5 inches, and that's going to give the pleats good support during its use. Again, what you're trying to avoid is for the pleats. So if you're cutting pleats, if you're cutting bands, that is going to create the tendency for those pleats to start to come together. And again, as John said, path of least resistance. When those pleats clump up, then that means the openings where they're not clumped is the easy way for the water to go through, and you're not going to make a significant difference in your infiltration once you get to that point.
John, what's your thoughts? I'm dying to hear.
No. Look, and I might go a little off topic here, and I'll kind of bring it back, and then I'll kind of go. But I think it's important. There was a debate for a long time about these bands, and there was a time where us and our company, what we did was, obviously when the bands went out, bands would tear up. It's a perfect time. We know that the filters needed to be replaced, and we understood the importance. We didn't really understood the importance of it until these new cartridges came out at one point, because we faced a frustration as a company that, with the whole Amazon thing and stuff, and how we price our cartridges. And when we replace our cartridges, personally, we like to do them every 2 years. We're swapping out cartridges, right? At minimum, sometimes earlier, but usually we have a list of dates that we put the cartridges in, and we put new cartridges in at least once every 2 years. But we were faced with the problem where when we would quote these cartridges, all these other inferior cartridges were out there, but more importantly, the cartridges that we were putting in were same cartridges that you were able to find online, right? At a certain price point that was much less than what we got them for. And we don't talk about prices on here, but if I bought it for X amount of money from our wholesale, and you can literally go buy those for less than what I can buy them at wholesale, it made it a difficult conversation for some customers. So we were attracted to a cartridge that came out, or there were the Ultras that Pleco brought out, right? And we loved those Ultras initially because the one thing that I loved about it was that it was pro grade and you could not find them online. And we loved ordering them and getting them. And as a professional, we should be able to have access to trade grade or to equipment and products that aren't for residential, right? That you can only acquire through a professional, that are better quality. We offered those exclusively for some time. And we put them in, and we loved it because we didn't have to worry about those pricings. But the problem that we saw was exactly what Rich is talking about here, is that those things, they filtered like crap. Unfortunately for us, it just didn't work out. We had a lot of dirt in our area, and the things about the Ultras, for you guys don't know, is they had like one band on the bottom, but they had no other support, right? And when every time we cleaned them, you can literally look at the pleats and look at them and see that there were some areas that were just completely clear and clean, and other areas that were very compacted, like hugely compacted. And you can see where those pleats were kind of folding in on each other and kind of creating a brick wall.
Right.
And which was causing us to have to run the pumps longer, right? Making pressures go higher in the pools. And the cartridges not lasting that long because they were taking uneven forces. So the beautiful thing about OnCore, and again, is, and I know we're running out of time here, but we talked about it with Jose, and I want everybody to listen to, is that you guys we don't have to worry about that as a company anymore because you guys don't compete with us online, right? And you're not going to find your cartridges on an Amazon where people are going to, and if somebody does do it, it's not going to be a distributor or somebody out there selling it cheaper than what we get it at. And having those bands on there make a huge difference for us when it comes down to the filtration opposed to what it was before. That's kind of what I was going to get at with the pleats or with those bands, Edgar. A lot of people look at them like they're not that important, and I've seen pictures of some where they're all raggedy or whatever.
Yeah.
And and I'm trying, and it's like, look, those play an important part in the structural integrity of those filters. And it was the best choice for us to put those, a cartridge that had those bands, opposed to ones that didn't have them.
Hey, really quick, and this is a perfect segue, John, because you were talking about it, and you're talking about those, those plates kind of collapsing and stuff like that. I think one of the things, and you kind of tend to see all kind of things online with regards to, cleaning these cartridge filters, and you see some people pouring muriatic acid and stuff on them.
Oh my God!
What's the proper? And when you see other degreasers, and then you see all these things, what's the proper way to clean that cartridge filter and protect that integrity?
So I would say that, what we're trying to clean, and in my experience, the amount of filter cake that's accumulated on the cartridge is what you want to remove. The material in and of itself shouldn't be impinged to the point where it's no longer useful. What do I mean by that? So again, what we're doing with a cartridge filter is we're building a filter cake, and that filter cake should come off easily. It should be able to take a garden hose with an adapter on the end, and you should be able to wash that off, wash off the filter cake, and put it back into service. The problem comes when you start adding lipids, oils, any sort of greasy material, biofilm, yeah. When that starts accumulating on the cartridge, then you need a different approach. And I would recommend a degreaser or an enzyme cleaner that would go after that gook that's accumulated on the cartridge and into the web of the material. The one thing that I would caution, if you do use a degreaser or an enzyme cleaner, would be to follow the manufacturer's instructions as to when to clean it off. Because what you could do is you could flash that debris to lock onto the material, and brother, you ain't getting it out. It's over. I mean, that's when the cartridge is just shot. You need a new one. Yeah. But there are, if properly cleaned and you follow the instructions, you will definitely extend the life of the cartridge, and you should be able to get the prolonged period of time with the cartridge that you're working with.
Gotcha.
So look, my thing on this is, Rich, we sometimes use enzymes and stuff like that when we clean cartridges. I mean, we'll hose them off initially, and then we'll give them a little spray, depending on the pool and the bather load. Like, we have a lot of Airbnbs we take care of, and sometimes you'll get like 20 people in a 10,000 gallon pool, 25 people. It's just unbelievable, and the amount of gunk and crap that gets in there. Water and oil don't necessarily mix very well, and they don't wash off very well. So, on cartridges like that or in pools like that, we'll spray enzymes or we'll spray a cleaner on it, rinse them out thoroughly. But you want to clean off the dirt as much as you can, and then you want to spray it so that it has, because you want whatever minimal material you put on there, whatever chemical you want on there, you want it to actually touch what you're trying to get rid of, right? And if it's just going on the dirt, you're wasting, and it's not really doing the work.
Solid point,
right?
For sure. Yep.
So you need to wash it off really, really well, get as much dirt possible, and then the problem is after that. That's when you give it a spray, let it soak, let it do its thing, go on to the next cartridge, do what you need to do. After you're done, spray it, let it sit. to the fourth cartridge once you're all done, then go back to the first one, rinse it all out nice and clean and get all that crap out, and then put it in there. And that's been a huge success for us. I personally don't believe, look, when it comes down to, I've seen a lot of people over the years and talk about acid washing cartridges and stuff. I go, come on, man, these are commodities. These are things that are due to be replaced. And they don't they don't usually stain, right? I mean, if you got a lot of metals in there and your cartridges that are stained, or you got a lot of copper and you're trying to use acid to get rid of it, because that's the only way you're going to get rid of it. It's time for new cartridges, and it's time to look at what the real problem is, right? So
For sure.
it's catching all the crap that's in the pool. We've seen filters that are like calcified to death, right? When they're calcified, that's what you got to use acid to get. Just time to start over, fix the problem, don't band-aid the situation. Buy a new set of cartridges and then find out what the issue is chemically in the pool, so you can prevent those things from happening and damaging the cartridges. These aren't things that should be lasting 10 years in your pool, right? These are things that go bad after a while, and they have an end of life. And when they reach that point to where you have to do drastic measures and put in $40 worth of acid in order to wash cartridges, I would highly suggest.
You got another problem.
Yeah, highly suggest not doing that, and just throw in the towel on and say, hey, enough is enough. Don't try to save it. Replace them.
And here's the thing, John, is we talk about filtration and being so important, right? And like you were saying, it's going to save on the other side with the water chemistry and all those type of things. And that's one of those things that you can't ignore. The moment that you put on your schedule that you get used to taking care of those cartridges, and whether it's DE or whatever it is, right? But you're on your schedule, you're taking care of it, you're giving it the maintenance that they need. And John, bottom line, when they need to be replaced, we got to get out of the mindset of, we don't want to talk to the customer and tell them that they got to replace the 4 cartridges. No, that's going to make your life a lot easier if you go and you say, nope, you don't have an option. These need to be replaced. They need to be changed. And when you don't do that, you do a disservice to yourself, and it's costing you more money at the end of the day.
1,000%. And that's why it's important to get ahead of it with the conversation. Like what we do with all our customers is, when we go new quotes and when we bring on new clients, we explain to them, hey, look, we're always, I know your pool guy just cleaned the filters. I know they were just replaced.
No.
You know what I mean? Of course they were just replaced, and they were just cleaned.
Yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. I go, in order for us to we need to crack these open and look at them. And when we open them up and we look at them, we'll do one of two things. I'll tell you, just from physically looking at them, I can tell you that, hey, look, we can do a cleaning on them, and we'll clean them, right? If they actually were cleaned, then I think it's only happened like once or twice where I've actually seen them and they were cleaned. Then we'll just close it back up and we're good to go, right? We'll inspect other things, close it back up, and we're good to go. But if they can't be cleaned, then we just replace them, and we let them know that, look, these are disposed. These things need to be replaced at least every 2 years, and we put them on a clock. And I like to say, and I know it's like apples and oranges, but we're still filtering. I always like to explain to people, and it clicks in their head, is, look, it's like your water filter cartridge in your refrigerator, right? It doesn't last forever. It gets so impacted and it gets worn out, and it's not capable of filtering the water well. And it will actually cost you more money the longer you have these in here, because it's making your system run that much harder, because it's not able to the resistance, or that torturous path that becomes more torturous and won't allow water to go through, and it's costing you money in the long run. So every 2 years you just go through and you just replace those cartridges, and that's just part of the gig. And we don't see any pushback from any of our clients when you approach it initially with them and you let them know.
I just figured out why the Derby water tastes so bad. They haven't replaced those filters.
They have to replace those filters, man. I don't know what. All they have a soda machine. Just give me the water on the friggin' soda machine, not from the toilet or from the tap.
So, hey, really quick, look, we're out of time, believe it or not. But Rich, let me. We normally do our last word from our sponsors. We're not going to do that because obviously we've gone over a lot of great conversation here. Complete pool geeking out, John, to me today.
I want to say one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, look, and I want to give some more tips because I think it's important too. And we've all heard about it, and we've touched on when to clean filters and stuff. Guys, look, another thing that you should be straightforward with your clients. I know what we do and what works for us. I mean, we're obviously in a more windy area and we have a lot of dirt, but we tell our clients that every 4 months you are going to get a filter clean, right? That's what we do. And it's important that you clean these filters and you don't let them get so compacted, because that will also put unnecessary stress on the filter system, right? Or on the cartridges, and cause their life to be shortened too as well. So get on a schedule. We do it every 4 months where we crack them open, we clean them out, and they don't become that difficult when you stay on top of them, right? You'll have more time to be able to get through them. It takes less time to be able to do it, but and then in turn, you're going to have a more consistent, results when it comes down to the clarity of your water in your pool, and you'll be able to get a good expectation of life out of every cartridge that you put in. So
Sarah,
I'm sorry?
Sarah on here is saying scheduled filter cleans and staying on top of cartridge replacements is the easiest and quickest way to save time and money. Filter maintenance is the key to success.
And if you have a pipeline filter too, then it only takes you literally 20 minutes or 15 minutes or 12 minutes to do it without any tools. I mean, that's how. Look, I'm telling you, I used to, just like every other pool guy, it was a love-hate relationship between filter cartridges. We hated it because it was so damn time-consuming, so messy, right? And it took us so much time to do it, but we loved it because that was money, that we needed to make, and it helped with the presentation of the pool, and it made our job so much easier as far as like keeping the pool clean and looking pretty. But with the introduction of the pipeline, man, I'm telling you, with me, I love cartridge filter. It's like no problem. You're able to get 4 or 5 of them done in a day if you need to, because it only takes you between 10 and 12 minutes from start to finish to clean the friggin' cartridge. So there's no excuse.
See,
So
Rich, I told you. I told Rich yesterday. I go, he's a huge cartridge filter guy.
I am we don't have DEs. Look, anytime we come across a DE here, I always tell them, hey, in order for us to take over service, we got to cut this out.
Told you.
And
I told that to Rich.
I've done it multiple times, and I go, I'm sorry, we don't deal with that crap. You know what I mean?
So
you're my kind of guy, John.
You're my kind of guy. So, hey, Rich, I know that we're out of time. I just wanted to kind of throw something back to you. Anything that we didn't talk about that you think we need to talk for a couple more minutes before we call it a day?
Yeah, there is a topic that I'd like to bring up with you, and it revolves around the fact that the rule of thumb for backwashing, cleaning out cartridges is roughly an 8 to 10 psi spike in pressure over the original starting pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And while that's a good rule of thumb, I think we should really rely on turnovers and how fast, how many GPM are being processed through the pool. And the reason I say that is because CDC, Centers of Disease Control, they specify, hey, you need to have X amount of turnovers of your pool water in order for it to be healthy. And so pressure is not necessarily going to tell you that, right? It'll tell you how much debris is built up and creating into the system, but it's not telling you how much water you're turning. And so I think that, in the future, and nowadays, you've got your Pantera and Teleflows that'll tell you how much water you're pushing through. But I think the use of a flow meter is far more useful than just a pressure gauge. And I think that, we should really, as an industry, be concerned about turnover and maintaining a healthy amount of water flow throughout the pool for any given period of time. So that's certainly something that, for example, you could be working within that 8 PSI envelope and be at the tail end of it and have fallen off the flow rate, the proper flow rate for your pool. That's not necessarily ideal or optimal. So I think that the industry should really focus on maintaining that proper turnover, and we should strive to incorporate that as part of part of our checks.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, believe it or not, we've been here for 2 hours already. So
It's incredible.
It flies by, doesn't it?
It does.
So, hey, Rich, I really, really am excited that I got to spend some time with you. John, I wish you could have been here because I know how your brain works, and you guys, I would have been sitting there enjoying two geek conversation, kind of going down these rabbit holes of how these things work. But Rich, what I love is that our industry has people like you, right? People that are lifers, people that are passionate about the industry, people that are passionate about what they do. And so I've had a phenomenal time. It's been one of my favorite podcasts to be able to kind of, really kind of learn something that, I wasn't even thinking about, right? Like when we started talking about the cores and we started talking about the
For sure.
materials, and like we give up all those things for granted, and we just go, hey, the cartridge filter just shows up at distribution, just buy it and use it. And there's so much more to it, right? And I feel that, especially now, I'm a lot more prepared to be able to answer a lot more of those questions when people ask such a simple thing and why it's so important. So I really appreciate you coming out. Enjoyed spending out some time with you, and then enjoyed that we were able to tease Jose and tell him that he came out first. He knows the tea. So anyways, Mr. Flawless.
Yeah. Look, I'm just going to say this again, Rich, thank you so much for coming out here and helping make a not so sexy subject sexy. You know what I mean? And to everybody listening, guys, look, do your research. There's always more than meets the eyes with anything and everything that we use. Not all filters are the same, and whichever you choose to go with for your company, just make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, and you're educated and understand all the pros and cons with all different types of technology that's out there. This is one of the things that we allow to slide
We do.
sometimes because it's like you don't necessarily get to see it, right? And the effects of it are often confused with sanitation, right? Or chlorine, or other things that are affecting the pool. When if you really understand the filtration portion of it, Rich nailed it as far as like turnover, circulation, sanitation, right? All that is mandatory and needed in order for us to be able to do our jobs correctly and to provide that safe swimming environment and that beautiful, pristine look, also while protecting that investment that the customer and the client has. It's our duty and our responsibility. And I think that circulation and filtration tend to be like the ones that don't necessarily get as much attention as they need, simply because there's a lot of there isn't just enough understanding of the technology and how it works. And the more you know about it, right, the better you'll arm yourself so that you can give that experience that we're all striving to give and add that value to our clients. There's 100% difference between that Amazon cartridge out there and a quality cartridge.
The $3 Amazon.
Yeah,
$3 Amazon cartridge.
There is 1,000,000% of a difference between them. And there was once a time where I used to go, oh, I get my own cartridges, and it was years ago, where it's like, no, bro, this is how we do it, right?
Yep.
And there is no compromise to it, and the results are clear as day if you understand it and know what to look for.
And Maria's saying out here, John, I just installed my first set. This will be my brand from now on.
Beautiful.
Let's go.
I'm telling you, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And not only for the technology, guys, look, we talk about this. Look, we don't peddle products. I only really talk about things when I'm very passionate about it. And it's clear as day. I never steer anybody wrong. This OnCore filter it is a great filter, and it does have some great technology in it. And there are benefits above some of the other ones that are out there. But more importantly, what we love the most is the mission behind it, and how Jose and the team, Rich, Bat, Naomi, right? Everybody that's involved in OnCore and your guys's stand behind the pool pros. That's important to us. That
100.
you guys aren't out there competing with us, and that you stand to your words and you say that, hey, look, you will not see these cartridges on Amazon being sold direct to consumer, cutting us off at the knees, right, and putting us in a position to where it starts to hurt our pocketbook, right? There's and the support behind the pool pros in the industry doesn't go unseen and unheard. And we appreciate it. So continue fighting the good fight, and stick to what you guys are doing. And we appreciate you coming out and spending the time with us or with Edgar. I'm sorry that was only with Edgar, but we look forward to seeing you guys in August in a few weeks.
On the 14th.
On the 14th. Are you coming out too? Or no,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
I think Jose probably wants to have his day in the sun. So
yeah, it probably does. Yes.
Anyways, hey, thanks so much, Rich, for coming out. Really appreciate it. Everybody out there, hope that you guys have a great weekend. Catch me and John next week on the Instagram Live. We'll catch you next week. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you very much, guys. It was an honor.
Take care.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Pool Nation podcast, a member of the Pool Nation family. You can listen to us live every Friday here at 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. You can find us at Pool Nation or poolnationpodcast.com, on Facebook, or on Instagram at pool.nation. And to find more info about Pool Invoice, the billing software built specifically for the pool industry, go to poolinvoice.com. Before you go, this is what the pool industry has been waiting for. PoolmanUniversity.com. It's the first platform dedicated to learning the swimming pool service and repair industry. A pool service community where you can connect and find videos on business, service, water chemistry, and repairs. See you there at PoolmanUniversity.com.